Today, we are speaking to somebody who would prefer to remain anonymous. She has an online store. She imports goods from China and brings them in to sell for us in Kenya. She would prefer to remain anonymous, but her journey is really full of amazing wisdom and amazing knowledge about this business. So stick around till the end. I will ask you to just please subscribe, please like and share this video. And yeah, let's get into the conversation. Okay, so I'm calling now. To put it on speaker. Hello. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us. Thank you so much for taking your time. We're really excited to hear your story. At the beginning, before we go into the questions, let me give you a moment to introduce yourself. If you'd like to remain anonymous, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you are in the country.
All right. Hi. I would like to remain anonymous, so I'll just give a few details about myself and where I am, but not get into much detail. Right now, I'm in Diani. I was born in Meru. I grew up in Ukambani, and I also went to school in Ukambani. I have spent most of my time working in Nairobi, and that's where my business is based. And I am a mom of two.
Do you
Yes,
live in Diani now or are you on holiday?
I am on holiday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've told us a little bit about where you were born and where you grew up. Could you just paint a picture of your childhood and maybe let us know which schools you went to, how it was for you when you were growing up?
Okay, so I grew up in what you'd call basically a middle class family. My mom is a high school teacher. My dad worked in the judicial system, and I didn't really see the real world until I got to high school, which was a boarding school where you get to interact with people from different classes and all that. Because where I was growing up was a gated neighborhood for teachers' kids, and everybody was pretty much living in the same standard. So that was the standard for me. And then I went to high school, and then I saw the lower and I saw the upper, and that's when now maybe about my worldview started opening up. So I'd say I really grew up when I saw that there were different aspects of how people are living. That there's someone who 100 shillings has to feed the whole family, and there's someone who gets every visiting day the parents come with a different car. So I did grow up in the middle of them. We were never hungry, but we were never the type who are going on holiday outside of the country. We were never the type who are changing cars every day, but we were not hungry.
Okay.
So yeah.
So a nice middle class, what most Kenyans would recognize as a nice middle class family.
Family, yes,
Yes,
family in the middle class.
yes, family in
Yes,
the middle. Okay.
yeah.
What did you want to be when you were growing up? What were your career aspirations?
This is very hard because I'm those kids who, when I was in class 8, I read Ben Carson's book and decided I want to be a neurosurgeon. But I very squeamish at the sight of blood. But I went all the way up to Form 4 telling myself I am going to be a neurosurgeon. Yeah, my grades were like, no, no, bruh, we're not doing that. Then I decided I want to do computer science, which I did. And then just because I wanted to be a hacker. Then by the time I finished my 4 years of college, it got boring. But I still got a job in the IT sector, so I'd say at least I kept to that. At some point, I also wanted to be an astronaut. There aren't any programs of the sort in Kenya. And I also wanted to be a writer, but I stuck with the computer science. And then I also knew I would want to do some business of some sort because I saw my mom doing this growing up. She had like 2 or 3 businesses, and I would see that she was having fun. She was bringing extra things, and we'd get the spoils. Like when she buys clothes and sells them to someone, we'd get the ones that we'd get fast pick from there. So I liked that idea, and I love shopping. So I did know at some point I would have to do a business of some kind.
Okay, so you went through college, you got a job in the IT sector. Was this your
Yes.
first time earning money?
Yes, that was my. Oh no, sorry. When I was in college, my cousin used to work for. They're now defunct, so I can mention them. They used to be called Pregat Juices, and she was in the sales and marketing sector. So one day, weekend, I was at home, and she calls me and tells me that their promotion girl just dropped out on them, and they don't know what to do. So I think this was in second year. Yeah, they don't know what to do. So I was like, I'm bored. How much are you paying? And she said, we're paying 1,000 bob a day. I was like, okay, not bad money to just stand there. So I went, that was the second week of their promotion. And I went in the morning, that was Saturday and Sunday. I did Saturday and Sunday. And she called me later and told me that they never made that many sales in Capital Center. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'm meant to be a salesperson. So that was my first money ever that I made. And it was so much fun convincing people to buy. That's when I realized I might have something for some future in sales.
Awesome. And that was a really good 1,000 bob a day for the sales girl. That was a really good gig you got.
It really,
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a
oh,
really good pay for standing
true.
there.
One day, just standing there and just convincing people. And then I got to go home with 2 boxes of juice.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're employed in the IT sector. Could you take us on a journey? How did that go for you, and how did you pivot, or how did you come into the business that we're going to speak about today?
Okay, so I'm in IT, but I don't do programming, so I can't say bulk of my time is focused on that. I'm usually mostly on the sales side, so I have a lot of time because sales is basically what time you're meeting with clients, and the clients will never meet you at 8. They'll start meeting you from 9, 10. They'll never meet you past 5, or maybe if you're doing drinks, you can do in the evening. And then later at night, now you have so much time for yourself. But if I was programming, it would mean I'd be spending nights working on that code, because that's what I hated about it. You'd have something, you'd have a solution, program that's working well. You change one comma and everything just goes nuts, and you have to spend like 2 nights, 2 whole days and nights trying to figure out what's wrong. So at least on the sales side, you can plan your time well. You'd say, I need to meet 5 clients this week, decide I'm going to meet them, and then now you have enough time to do whatever else you want to do. So it's easy for you to have a side hustle. And the way now it moved from there and segued into the business that I have is because I was looking for something, and I realized I can use technology to get it. And then because I needed more, I have to find a way to sell it. So I was like, yeah, sure, I can use technology as well to sell. So I'm like, I am in IT. Why can't I create a website for myself? Why can't I create like a platform online for me to be able to sell? So that's how it moved from the IT into what I'm doing right now.
Let us know what you're doing right now.
Okay, so now I have an online shop that deals with household items and baby items, and it's purely online.
Okay, I think this is an interesting one because many people are attracted and they know about this thing of an online shop, but we really don't know how to go about it. So I'm looking forward to just you taking us through step by step. But
Okay.
before we go there,
Mhm.
let us know how exactly you started. Where did you get the money? What did it take to start? How did you get this knowledge? Yes, you're in IT, but how did you really come into the knowledge about you can actually do an online shop? Just kind of take us through your learning about how to do it and also how much it took to start.
All right. So I think pretty much 90% of online shops right now started around the same time, around 2020 when the thing happened. I was working for an IT company. I'm not working there anymore, but I was working for this company, and after some time, there was no pay. Like it's delayed. Again, we don't have clients. We rely on clients to pay us so that we can pay our people. There was a lot of back and forth, so I resigned. When I resigned, I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? And I just had my firstborn. He had just turned 1. No, he had just turned 6 months, because the business went live when he was 1, but I started preparation like when he was around 6 months. So he had just turned 6 months, and I'm like, I cannot just sit down and do nothing. The nanny is taking care of him. What am I going to do? So, and also the other reason is because when he turned 6 months, I needed winning items. And then I went online, I tried to look for them, and yes, they were available, but the prices, oh my God, the prices were just out of this world. So I'm like, yeah, no, there has to be something better. So back 2 years before, I had started importing a few things with a few of my friends to start a shop, but that didn't work out because there was so much uh, division of labor was the problem. Like you'd find I'm handling the bulk of the work, someone else doesn't want to do their part and all that. So it didn't last a month. So we decided to just split and everyone go with their own shares and sell whatever you can. So now I had that background information on how to import. I was like, maybe let me import 10 of this. Like I need 10 plates, I need 10 cups, 10 spoons, all that. Let me import 10 of each, keep one for myself, and try and sell the other 9. It wasn't actually supposed to be like a full blown business. It was like, I need this and I can only buy in bulk. So I found someone who was willing to sell for me 10 pieces. Like I had to buy a samples because they sell from 50 to 100. So I had to buy samples. Found someone who was willing to sell 10. I got them, shipped them in. They came in. I took what I wanted for my baby, started the page, posted, and people were actually interested. Like people would ask me, I like this. Do you have any other color? I was like, oh no, I only bought this color. So now my gear started going, maybe you need to add more colors for people, maybe you need to add more designs, and then it just started slowly growing from there. And I think from the number that I gave, like 10, 10, 10, you can tell that the business actually started with a very, very small amount. I spent, my first stock was 50,000, and plus shipping was around 10,000. So let's say roughly I spent 60,000 for my first stock. And I used some of my savings, and then my mom did half because she saw what I was doing, and then she was like, no, I want to be part of this. So she sent me half, and then I used half of mine as well. So that's where we started.
That's very interesting, and I think I'll come back. We can continue with our conversation about your journey, but I would
Yeah.
want us to come back and really talk about the actual step by step of how to make these orders, how to import, how to source them, and all this. But for now, let's just continue speaking about your journey. You've told us that you used your savings, and your mom also chipped in to give you this first stock of 50,000.
Yes.
How much did you make back? So immediately there was demand. When you put it on the page on Facebook, was there immediate demand, or did you struggle? Did you make back your money? How was that first sale?
Let's say I posted today, by 1 week, I had nothing left.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the money just came back immediately. Then I was like, okay, so this looks like a very viable thing, and I am doing it from the comfort of my house. I'm not spending anything because at that point I hadn't started doing Facebook ads. I'm not spending anything. And I was done doing my deliveries myself. Like I would go to town, drop it off, and if I have to, Nini, I call a bike guy, I give him, I tell him drop it here. And it's someone I don't know, so I'm just praying that they don't steal it. It was madness. But then I was like, okay, I made back all my money and change, so let me use the change, now the profit, and buy more things and see. So I did that, more things came, and then yeah, so we continued like that.
Awesome. Take us through the journey. You said you began in 2020.
Yes,
So
I did.
we are still very young. How has
Very.
it been these first few years? Has the business, just kind of been on an upward trend, or have you seen some struggles? How has this first few years been for you?
So the first year was a little slow because as much as I was excited to sell the first few things, it got to some point where the page just became stagnant. Like you'd get one sale today, then tomorrow no sales, then another sale the other day, and then I was struggling to find regular people to deliver for me. I had to use a courier company. They're not reliable. 2 months later, they went under. The first year was just crazy. And then you see, you're still trying to figure out what are people looking for. You buy a different design. Months later, you still haven't sold even a single one. People just want. Then you see, the other thing is, I was shopping for myself. Like I would go online and see something. Oh, this is cute. People will like it. I bring it, and yeah, it's just cute to me. It's not cute to everybody else. So I had to try and figure out what are people looking for. And again, some losses were made because I would buy things that I think people would want to buy and they don't want to buy. So I had to look for something that's very generic. Like my partner tells me, you're not shopping for you, you're shopping for people. And what you think does not look good might actually look good to other people. Like I can tell you the best selling item in my shop right now is something I didn't want to stock. But he told me just buy a few and see how it goes. Because I was like, nah, no one would want this, no one would want this at this price. But apparently people do. So yeah, there's been a lot of bumps, ups and downs. So the first year was the toughest. Then I figured out that I cannot just grow organically. I have to start paying for ads. Then I'd pay very, very small ads, 500 shillings for a whole week. Again, like I didn't have that much money to invest in it at that time because I didn't see the value add in it. I didn't think it would grow up to be that big. It was just supposed to be a side hustle where I can have some pocket change if as I was still looking for another job, if like maybe I need to go for a movie or whatever, I just take from there and not touch my savings and that kind of thing. Then second year is when I started seeing, like I think there's a month it just exploded. I have a till, so there's a week. Now, at that point, I'd already gotten a rider, a steady rider from the company that went under. So he reached out to me and told me, "Hi, how are you doing? Company closed, but are you looking for a rider?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So now I have a steady rider. Then I figured out how to do ads and how to target them. Then I had now slowly started to figure out what people are looking for. So there's this one, it wasn't a week, it was literally 2 days. I went from seeing, let's say, for instance, I was making 10,000 in 1 week. Those 3 days, I made 120,000. I was like, hold up.
Wow.
There's something here. So now I started actually like, okay, maybe I can pay attention and see, maybe this is actually doing better than most jobs. I might as well figure out and see, because if it's this much and I multiply it by how many days in a month, I mean, why do I need to be employed? So I put myself into it, pushed everything. The next month, I started making 10,000 a month. Sorry, a week.
Again.
Yeah, it went back down again. So I was like, okay, so this is the life of a business person. And then it would get to a point, you'd see the beginning of the month, you're doing well. From 15th, no sales. So you're just there, like, you even go online, you're like, maybe there's a message I haven't seen. You're trying to refresh your page. You're trying to send nice new things. Nothing. No one is biting. Like, you're literally fishing and no one is biting. Then you get depressed. So you're like, okay, this is so sad. Maybe this, I'm not meant for business. And then the next week, you make a lot of money again. So now I figured out, so yeah, it's yo-yoing up and down. There are days that people have money. There are seasons that people are looking for this. It's like there's also a baby season. Like you'd find a lot of children win at around the same time. I don't know how people plan that, but December has a lot of babies being weaned. Feb has a lot of people looking for household items. Like sort of, I started seeing some patterns, and then now that helped me. One, improve my buying habits, also improve my advertising habits, and also improve my mental health because it was getting a bit tough at that point.
Wow, that's interesting,
Yeah.
and I can really relate to that up and down journey with business.
Yeah.
It can be brutal when the downs are lasting a little bit too long. It can really be brutal.
Yes,
Um,
they can.
yeah, but it sounds like you have weathered the storm and you have really gone through the journey. Could you just describe for us a day in the life for you when you're running your business? What do you do day to day to keep the engine going?
Okay, so I can give you. Should I give you an example of when I am working or when I am not working? Because see, like when I'm at work, the day will be different from when I am not working.
Okay. Do you mean at work? Did you get another job along the way?
Yes, yes, I've been working for the
Okay.
last 1 year. Yeah.
So this is on a side hustle basis right now.
Right, exactly, and it also suffered then. So there's also that aspect of when I got a job, this suffered.
Okay. So let us know, give us a day when you're at work. I think that would be the most relatable. How is it on a day when you're at work?
Okay, so I got lucky. The reason I actually took this job was because I got lucky and I got a job where I can work from home. It's flexible, but you have to show up in the office once in a while. So I was like, yeah, so if I can still do my business and work and I can still be near my kids, it's a really, really good job. So I took it. But at the same time, the business really suffered. So I can say I have my sales, the past month they halved. Like from what I was making, I started making half of what I was making because I'm not posting as much. I'm not interacting with guys. Like usually I pride myself in when guys inquire, I respond within the hour. I make sure within 30 minutes to 1 hour I've responded. So sometimes since I was busy, it would take even a whole day. I respond in the evening and someone tells you, oh no, it's okay, I already got someone else. So a day when I'm working, let's say it starts at 6, I wake up in the morning, I plan, I have orders from the previous night I already delivered. I make sure I've packed them, I've labeled them, and then when the rider comes, I pack for him and label, then I give him, so he goes. Then now I start my office work. So I'll be probably on my laptop because I can work remotely, I don't have to be there, maybe making calls and all that. So clients are calling me, confirming if the rider is still coming. Others are calling to confirm the prices. And then at the same time, I'm also working, so there's that 50-50 where you see I noticed my job was suffering, so I had to make the business suffer a bit. So it would be, I wake up in the morning, pack, let them go, let the rider deal with the clients. If they are asking how much the prices are, or is this price correct, is this item, so I've given him a breakdown of, this is what you're selling, this is how much it should be, this is the delivery. If you have any questions, just text me, I'll get back to you. So wake up in the morning, give him, then start my job. Then at around lunchtime now, I get in contact with him, ask him, is there any problem? Should I step in somewhere? If it's very urgent, he would send like several messages and then I have to call. Then I go back to work. Then at around 3 is when I finish. Then now I pay attention to the business. So I'd say from morning up to around 6, 7, I'd do the business. Then from 8 to lunchtime, work. Then from lunchtime to 3, work. Then from 3 now I go back to the business. And then now from 6, now I have to go and be with my family.
And there's something interesting you mentioned. You have a young son.
Yes.
And you're working from home.
Yes.
So now I can relate exactly to your situation. I think our children are about the same age.
Same age, yeah.
How do you balance this? How do you keep your focus? Because also for me, that's a struggle. Is some days you're just so exhausted because maybe you didn't sleep well at night, and then you have to wake up, and the child has to wake up. And how do you balance all these things to make sure that he's settled, and then you start your work and you have to deal with the business? How do you manage that system?
Actually, now I have 2.
You have same boat. I fully
Oh,
relate.
you also have, oh, nice.
Yes.
So the first one, I think we have the same age, and then my second one is 10 months.
Same age. I think our children we are on the same exact plane.
And I will tell you, I have not enjoyed a night of sleep for the last 3 years. A good night's rest. Like, the moment you said, you're exhausted, I was just like, oh my God, you feel it. These kids will wake you up in the middle of the night without shame, severally, and you have to wake up and tend to them, and you have to wake up in the morning and work and also do business. So I think my sanity is just like, I'm like, it's for them, it's for a short period of time, like, we have to do this. And then during the day, the only way I'm able to concentrate, honestly, is handphone. Because when they start calling or saying, I'm tempted to just go and see what's going on. And then I have a really good nanny, so that also really helps. So I told myself I'll trust, because she has taken care of my kids and they are okay up to now. And I have a really good camera as well, so I can see what's happening. And then when I take short breaks, I usually go down, chill with them a bit, play a bit, and then come. And then on Sundays, I make sure that they have my full attention.
Okay, I fully relate to everything, and on that level, yeah, it's very tough when you have little children, and sometimes, because I also work and I'm also in business and trying to do many different things, sometimes you get to thinking, should I really do this business at this time in my life? There's a lot of trying to balance things, so I can fully relate, and I think any parent with young children would fully relate to the struggle of trying to do your life and also trying to raise them at that age.
Yeah. I think I can honestly say I have not been able to do my life for now.
Yeah. I mean, you've managed the business, so at this time, then your whole life is business/work. That's your life. You don't have time for much else. I'm glad to hear that you're on holiday at the moment, so at least, getting that break.
Yeah, that's it. It's very needed.
Yeah. So when you look back so far at your journey, as much as it's a young journey, could you let us know what you would consider the highest point so far in your business?
My highest point is not gonna be monetary, because like, I think the highest point was one I told you. For monetary was where I told you, like, I went from, let's say, making 10,000 in 1 week, and then 3 days I made 120, and then I was like, okay, wow, this is awesome. Then it went really, really low. So I decided not to make my high points about the money, but about the experience and how they made me feel. So one of my best was, there's a family friend who has a foundation, and they do a lot to do with a foundation that basically deals with girls and helping girls, paying school fees for them. And the other arm of the foundation also deals with wildlife sanctuaries and all that. So I was able to help on the girl aspect, because one day we were just talking, and then I told her But then there's something called a cup, because they were asking about these pad drives and whatever. So it's like, there's something we call a cup, like a menstrual cup. Would you be interested? Because you see, it lasts longer, it's good for the environment, it's cheaper. And if you see, like for pads, if you give someone a pack, that will just probably last them 1 month, 2 months at most. But a cup will last them 5 years. So it's like, okay, this is really interesting. We can work together. So it's like, I'll source them and ship them in for you at cost. I'll just add maybe like a 5% convenience fee, and then now you can distribute them. And I actually brought for her 1,000 the first time, and then I brought for her another 500, which she's still distributing. But honestly, that was like the best moment. Like, I was able to convince someone with just one. Here is a cup, and they bought 1,500 pieces. So it wasn't even about the money, because I didn't actually make that much, because like I said, it was for charity. I just did like a convenience fee, but the impact is really, really big. And it got me thinking, maybe I can work with other charities or any other person who's interested in something like that. But that was the only one I have done so far.
That's a nice one, and I think I fully agree with you on just the value of a menstrual cup, especially in a situation where you're dealing with people from, struggling financially, young girls who don't have the means. I think a menstrual cup is the most brilliant solution.
I agree.
Yes, and let's now flip the coin. Let's talk about what would you consider to be your lowest moment in business so far?
There are a lot. Let me pick from. There are quite a lot. So I'd say the lowest is when I have so many orders and I don't have the stock. Like, you'd have guys asking, like, you're looking at the money that's just leaving, you're in tears, because you have people who want this thing, they all want this thing, they all want this thing, and then you do not have the stock. It's finished. What can you do? You can only just stare helplessly as they go buy somewhere else, and they'll never come back to you because you aren't able to provide their need. So for me, that's usually the worst. I hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of those many low moments that you've mentioned, and even the high moments, let us know what are like 1 or 2 top lessons that you think you would want to share with somebody who would be interested in starting out or going into this particular business. What lessons do you think you can just pick from your journey for us?
Okay, first lesson for me, why this worked out was because I was the target market and I knew my business. Like, I knew I have been in sales, I know technology, I know how to report, and I was the target market. So it's like I'd already done the research on myself. I know what I want, I know how much I want it to cost, I know how much it can be that will not make me feel pain, and then I also know how to sell. So always sell something that you know. That's what I can tell people. Don't see other people doing something and think that it has money and go and do it. Like, there's no way I would start selling, let's say, air conditioners. I know nothing about them. But I had kids and I knew what I wanted, and I already have that persona, the buyer persona in my head. I know who this is. So always sell something that you know and do a bit of market research. And then my second lesson I got was perseverance. Sometimes, I know people usually say, sometimes just cut your losses and go. But I can promise you, if I hadn't stuck it out 2 years, I would not have seen this. So the first year was honestly horrible, and I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't know a lot about the algorithm for these social media pages, how to get to people, how to pay for ads, how to target. I did not know that. I thought I knew, but it's taught me that I did not know that. I haven't actually even utilized 50% of it. I'm just still learning as I go. And then I did not know. There's a lot of things I did not know, to be honest, that I've been learning as I'm going, and I'm still learning. So something else, again, my partner told me was most businesses, you give them 3 to 5 years for you to realize the profits or to see the great benefits. So the first year where I was getting tired, I was like, come on, you haven't even finished a year. Just finish a year and see if this is something that you're willing to stick it out. So again, just persevere and stick it out. If minimal, like if you don't feel like giving it 3 years, give it 2 years and see where it's going. Give it your everything and give it 2 years and see if this can grow. Honestly, again, if you don't have the luxury, like as I'm saying this, I can see that there's that privilege aspect that I need to talk about. If you don't have the luxury to stick it out, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I fully, because the question that comes to mind when you tell
Yeah.
somebody stick it out is while
Yeah.
I'm eating what? Stick it out while I'm eating what? Those low
I know,
moments.
like I was saying it and then I was like, oh my god, I'm speaking from privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to change my second answer.
No, but it's still very relevant, and I agree with you. It's just that in each context, it will be different in each context. Yeah, and each
Yeah.
person would have to look at their situation and know just how far are they willing to
Can
stick it
I?
out before cutting
Yeah.
losses. Yeah.
Because you see, I had someone who is making sure the rent is paid, the kids are fed.
Yes.
So yeah, I see where, yeah, when you're talking and then it's just like a aha moment, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, if you think it's fine, we can still live it that way then.
Yeah, I mean it's still relevant, and for me, just then I'm curious when you talk about this perseverance and sticking it out. I'm curious now to know about what the situation is with you today, and I want us to talk the real numbers now.
Okay.
I think, as I've mentioned also to other people, is that when we are talking about business, there's always something secretive about the numbers and about the money. But I want
Yeah.
us to really just demystify that and talk honestly about actual money. And I will
Okay.
ask you about your last month, the last month that you have, like a complete month that you can talk about. Tell us about the actual money. How much did you spend on the business? How much did the business make back? And what was the profit for you?
Okay, so like I said, the good thing about this online business is I don't have that many expenses. My expenses are just Facebook ads, my rider, and like a monthly stipend that like I pay. I don't actually use it to pay my nanny. I don't pay myself. So it's like I would say that would be the monthly stipend I'd be giving myself. So my business spend for last month was around 101,000. The business earned 400, so the net earnings was 299.
299,000.
Yes.
And what do you? So you said you. Okay, I want to backtrack because those are really good numbers that you shared.
Oh,
You said the stipend that you pay your nanny is actually taken from the business.
yes.
Your expenses would be your rider, your Facebook ads, and
And my
your
nanny.
and your nanny. What
Yes.
about the stock? Have you considered the stock that you're bringing in?
So sometimes, like last month, I did not buy any stock. I bought now this month because
This
last
month.
month was not a very good month.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like the sales were very slow. The first few days I got really good sales. Then in the middle it just went completely down. Then out towards the end is when the numbers picked up again. So I wasn't able to buy stock at that point. So now I bought this month.
So tell
So
us
this
about the stock. How much does it cost now? For example, you have your last month, sorry, your last month earning was 299,000. Now you need to buy stock. What was the
yes.
cost of the stock?
So when I bought stock is because I had included some of this month's earnings. So let's say I spent around because I wasn't prepared for that question. Let me see. I spent around 350.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see, you have to buy like 100 pieces of this, 100 pieces of that, or even more. So the things that go more, I tend to buy more than 100 pieces.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
Okay, so that gives us then a picture. That gives us a picture of if you buy your stock worth 350,000,
yeah.
typically, maybe if you look back, and sorry, I'm now going into maybe questions that you hadn't prepared for, but I'm just trying
It's
to get
okay.
a
We'll
real
just
picture of the numbers here. If you look back, that stock of 350, how many months or how long would it last now, just bringing back? At what point would it come back, is the question.
So because of the shipping time takes a whole 6 weeks, so you just put 2 months out. Then when it comes, like the one I was telling you, my best selling product, I usually sell it in less than a month.
Okay.
You'd find like I have 200 pieces and in less than a month it's gone. So I'd say 3 months because you're counting in the shipping period. That's why my stock is very, I have to plan carefully so that I'm not left without anything. So if I know it's going to take 2 months to get the stock, if I've brought in the stock this month and I know I'll be out by the end of the month, I have to start buying this month.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you pay yourself at some point? Do you pay yourself from the business?
Barely, but I said from next year I'll start now drawing something out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to at least finish 3 years.
Yes, okay. So
Yeah.
that gives us a real picture. And now that brings the reality that sometimes in business, you're not even earning. You are just
Yeah,
first building the business up before you even start now getting your own profit.
exactly. Like I can even say, like I say every day, sorry, I talk about my partner a lot, but he's with me in this business so much. I tell him like I have money on paper, but I don't have any money.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's a very real, picture of the truth. Sometimes somebody might hear, that's why I wanted to dig a bit into the numbers. Somebody might hear 299 and think that, oh, now all that is going into your holiday in Diani.
No, I think I got maybe like 5,000 out of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more realistic. Okay, okay.
Yeah. The rest I take everything back to stock. Like I said, until I reach 3 years, I do not want the money to be. I want it to go back into the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting, and I just want to thank you so much for being honest, not only about the money, but just about the whole journey. I
Yes.
think I fully relate on a lot of the aspects you have mentioned, about having small children and having to balance and going around with no sleep. You are awake at night, then you have to do your job, then you have your side hustle, you have to, it's really hectic. And
And yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, you are spending 2-3 years without even drawing money into your own account from this business. So you are just in the phase of building.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yes.
I
So
think,
we say it's our third baby.
come again.
We say it's our third baby that has to grow up before
The baby
we
has
can.
to grow. Yeah, the
Yeah.
baby has to
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to leave it at that because I want the audience to just kind of come out with that reality from this story. But for now, let me just, for the sake of this episode, say thank you. And
All right.
we're going to come back with now the really detailed explanation of how to do these imports. That was anonymous. She preferred to remain anonymous because she has given us so many details about her business and even just a small masterclass on how to import and how she does it. And we have gotten so much wisdom from this conversation with her. The one thing that I want us to stick with is the reality of business, that when you start, it's not that you're immediately going to start making money and drawing money into your account. She has said she's done this for 2 years, and even up to today, she doesn't really make the big money. Yes, the business is earning some income, but a lot of it goes back into stock. It goes back into paying the rider, into paying for the Facebook ads and all this. So these are the realities of business. It is not easy at the start. She's going into the 3rd year, and maybe later on, after the year is done, we can come back and have a conversation with her about how the business will have grown by then. But I'm so grateful for the story, and I hope it has been inspirational and it has really taught you the real journey of what it takes to do business.